Hello, and welcome back to another brand new Tales from my Backlog, where I am going to be reviewing Full Metal Jacket. So, this movie is one that has kind of been etched into my memory when I was 5 or 6, I can't remember which. What do I mean by that is, well, I've told this story a few times, but I haven't brought it up since. And there were three movies that I remember seeing on RTE, which is an Irish station over here, when I was very, very young. And all three of them stuck with me. That being AI, Artificial Intelligence, Bicentennial Man, and blanking on the other one. The third one being The Fifth Element. However, there was a fourth, and that fourth was Full Metal Jacket. And I'm primarily in regards to Vincent D'Onofrio's character. Um, so yeah, there that scene that I will get to in a bit, um, in the bathroom at night, that is something that stuck out to me, which is yeah. And so I finally decided, to sit down and watch it. And so what did I think of it? Well, the first 40 to 50 minutes were amazing. I was engrossed. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying seeing, the boot camp side of things for these Marines training for Vietnam. And then when we switched to Vietnam for the rest of the movie, it was okay. Like I get it. I do get what I was trying to show. Um, you know, um, but I still kind of preferred the beginning part. So R. Lee Emery was fucking fantastic as the Sergeant Hartman. I obviously mainly grew up with his voice as the toy soldiers from Toy Story. That's how I would recognize his voice from. But like I said, when I was about 5 or 6, when I first moved into this house, and seen this film, that's also where I noticed him. Um, Obviously, like I said, Pyle, Private Pyle, um, was the one thing that stuck out to me. Like now, I didn't watch the film in full when I was a kid, because when I got to that scene, which I'll explain in a second, I ended up switching it off. But there's two scenes that stuck out to me the most, and that was when they got the bars of soap, and in the middle of the night, held Private Pile down and started beating him because now anytime he fucks up, the whole platoon has to deal with that. So that was one scene that stuck into my mind because again, I was so young. I didn't like all this stuff was foreign to me. The most I seen of people being beaten up was in cartoons. I didn't at that time. I didn't think something like this could happen. And so that was the switch really for Private Pile. Because before, Hartman was picking on him a lot. He was an overweight person who really, really struggled and kept messing up a bunch. And so at some point, he mentally broke. And then that, of course, leads us to, when they've all graduated, Private Joker, is then put in charge of Pyle. And I like that. I like seeing that, Joker really cared essentially for, not necessarily cared for Pyle, but, the Marines hadn't broke his spirit yet. Because that's what, you know, the Marines do, or just joining any military form. That's their job for when you go into boot camp. They're to break you down so they can rebuild you up for the Marines, essentially. And so it shows that, for Private Joker, that hasn't happened yet. And it doesn't happen at all. Obviously he's still, a Marine and that. Um, and so it's after they graduate, Hartman is starting to read out where people are going to be put. Joker, because he wrote for his school's newspaper, is sent to journalism. He ends up becoming a journalist for the Stars and Stripes. I have a few notes that written down here. That's why I keep looking down, because otherwise I'd forget a lot of the names. And so then when Joker, Private Joker, is pulled for night watch, he stumbles across, Private um, Pile in the toilet with his gun, because he's mentally snapped after basically enduring the torture. And I'm surprised that he even, Private Pile even made it through Hell Week, because that's something that I have heard, um, is what, like, some of the worst things, not necessarily the worst things, but like, there are people that, from what I've heard, that try their best to survive Hell Week. Because if they don't survive it, then that's it. They can't, graduate and stuff. So I was very surprised that he made it through Hell Week. Granted, then again, I don't know what Hell Week would have looked like back in the 70s. Um, but the fact that he survived is, shocking. But yeah, he ends up having live ammunition, and he snaps, and he starts talking, about his rifle, and that's when Hartman walks in. And this is the scene that has been, ingrained in my mind ever since, because it shocked me. It really did. And that was when Pyle shot Hartman, and that scared the living fuck out of me. Because again, at this point I'd only ever watched cartoons and Power Rangers. So whilst yes I knew of guns, I didn't think it would actually, fully kill someone. And that's all I can remember when I was a kid of that. I don't think I watched Private Pile kill himself. Um, but yeah, so I wasn't until I actually looked up the cast list that I realized that was, Private Pile is played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who is a phenomenal actor, because I've now seen him in this. I've also seen him in the first Men in Black film, which again, didn't even recognize him in that. And then, of course, now he's, playing Kingpin in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, obviously, I've seen him rather briefly in Hawkeye, uh, the Christmas TV show that he got. Excuse me. So yeah, I really liked his character. Again, I also like Arlie Emery as a, Sergeant Hartman. Really liked that. But when it came to moving to um them in combat in Vietnam, that's kind of where I just wasn't feeling it as much, but I do understand it. There's the dehumanization and transformation. The process of turning these people into killing machines. Except for, Private Joker, he still keeps his individuality. And we see that, on his helmet he said, it reads "Born to Kill," but he does have a peace sign on him at the same time. Um, and yeah, it also shows us the impact of the war, that psychological and moral consequences of combat for soldiers. And it's a good movie. It is a great movie, and it's a movie that everyone should see at least once. But like I said, for me, the first 50 minutes were excellent. I loved it. I would have loved if it had just been a movie about, them being in boot camp, that whole 2 hours, or maybe even cut it down to like an hour and a half of them being in boot camp. I would have loved that, seen more of it, seen more of the training, get to see, more of Private Pyle slowly slip into what we then see, what he does to Sergeant Hartman. But yeah, it's still a great film. I'm glad that I watched it. That means now I have reviewed three of those movies that I mentioned at the beginning of the video from RTE that I remember watching as a kid. That being Bicentennial Man, AI, Artificial Intelligence, and now Full Metal Jacket. So the only one I have left to review is The Fifth Element. So I'm not saying when that I'll be reviewing that, because I already have September scheduled. I even have November, listed out. So yeah, not sure what's coming next for Friday's video. But that is going to wrap up this review. So let me know what you thought of Full Metal Jacket in the comments down below, because again, Kubrick, fantastic director. Really, really enjoyed his direction that he went for this film. even if, when we get to Vietnam, I kind of just wasn't all that into it. But that's, that's something that I actually had to go out and do, was actually read reviews before I recorded this, because I don't normally do that. I tend to stay away from watching reviews before or after I watch a movie, because I don't want to then subconsciously repeat the same bits that somebody else could have for their review. But for this one, I had to go and look at some of the reviews. So I did. I looked at some of the reviews just on Letterboxd. And that's where I saw that I wasn't alone in thinking that the second half wasn't as great as the first half of the film. But anyway, I'm rambling on at this point. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you all on Friday for another brand new upload. I'll see you all next time.